First Paddy, first card of the year. Before we get into the breakdown of the actual fight and who I think is going to win, I think it's worth pointing out that this is the right next fight for Paddy. It's the right next fight for Gaethje. They should be fighting each other. But for the title, no. For the interim title, no. The interim title or the next title fight, if Topuria was available, should involve Arman Tsarukyan. It's just how it is. To not include Arman in a title fight next at lightweight is insane. It goes against who deserves what. It goes against the rankings. It goes against what's warranted. So yeah, Arman Tsarukyan should be fighting for the belt next. If that's the real title or the interim title, he should be fighting for it. And then Paddy and Gaethje should be fighting each other to see who gets the next shot after Arman. That's how it should work. But unfortunately for Arman, anything he does apparently is going to just push him further back and back. It seems like any reason they can find to not give Arman a title shot, they're going to find. When I think the truth is not about him headbutting Dan Hooker. The truth is around Paddy sells more. Paddy and Topuria would have been the next title fight because obviously that's going to be a massive fight, understandably for business reasons, commercial reasons, I get it. But in terms of what's warranted, who deserves the next title fight, it should have been Arman. He's not going to get that now, which is a shame. So we've got Gaethje versus Paddy, which again, it's a juxtaposition because it is the right next fight. Them two should be fighting each other to then earn a title shot, but again after Arman Tsarukyan. We're not getting that, but at least the interim title is what they're fighting for, and that represents the number one contender because the interim title does not actually make you champion. Ask Gaethje, ask Poirier. Anyone that's held the interim belt doesn't actually feel like a former champion unless they unified it and became the actual champion. So, yeah. In regards to the actual fight itself, I think the general consensus is Paddy's going to win, and I get why. He's got the momentum on his side. He's got a lot of the hype on his side, and with Gaethje, people think he's on the downfall, but at the same time, he's the one that's actually fighting higher level competition. He's the one that in his last 4 fights, if you look at his last 4 fights, he's fought Fiziev, Poirier, Holloway, Fiziev, and won 3 out of 4 of those. All high level strikers, all high level fighters. Only lost to Max Holloway, debatably the best boxer in the UFC. Conversely, you look at Paddy, his last 4 fights, not in order, actually in order: Jared Gordon, Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, Michael Chandler. You compare Justin's last 4 fights to Paddy's last 4 fights, and remember they got the same record in their last 4 fights. Gaethje's 3-1 in his last 4, Paddy's 3-1 in his last 4. He lost to Jared Gordon, remember. So they're both 3-1. The only difference is Gaethje's level of competition, Paddy's level of competition. I don't see how people aren't giving Gaethje way more credit here. He's the experienced veteran. He's not like he's on the downfall. He's losing fights. He's finished. He's washed. The only people he's lost to in X amount of years, the only people he's lost to is Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, and Khabib. So those are his only 3 losses. All former champions, all part of the greatest of all time in their divisions. And that means you're going to lose to Paddy. That means you're washed. That means this and that. Where Paddy has only really, his most recent wins have been journeyman bums at best, and he lost to Jared Gordon. I do understand the fact that Paddy's got, I think people are tired of doubting Paddy. You know, he's proved a lot of people wrong. He's definitely better than we thought he was. I'm a Paddy fan. Like, even though I'm making this prediction and I'm breaking it down in this way, and it sounds like I don't know, it might sound like I don't like Paddy. I do like Paddy. Paddy's the guy I want to win this fight. I want to be wrong in this prediction. I'm not just going to pick him just because I'm a fan of his, or he's my favourite fighter in the division, or XYZ, or I'm from England. I'm going to pick who I think is going to win, and I think stylistically, I don't see how we're not giving more credit to Gaethje. It's beyond me. So yeah, I think when you look at it like that, I think when you look at their last 4 fights, you compare it like that, it's uncomparable. And the way I look at it as well is if you put Gaethje against Paddy's last 4 opponents, Gaethje beats all of them. He already has beaten Ferguson. He already has beaten Chandler. He beat a more prime Ferguson, debatably the most prime Ferguson during COVID, when it was that first fight back during COVID, Gaethje versus Ferguson, and that was Ferguson on the crazy win streak when he was meant to fight Khabib. Gaethje finished that Ferguson. Paddy got gassed in his fight against a washed, old, finished Ferguson. So that's one thing. Chandler, Gaethje's already beat Chandler. Okay, yes, Paddy finished Chandler. Cool, credit. That's good. I'm not here to say Paddy doesn't deserve credit or Paddy doesn't have a chance in this fight. I'm here to point out the fact that Gaethje needs more credit. I think we need to give Gaethje more respect going into this fight. You know, so many people I'm seeing are picking Paddy, and I get it, but I also, the dismissal for Gaethje, like, at least most people should be looking at this as a 50-50 fight at least. Like, Paddy hasn't done anything to prove that he's on Gaethje's level. He hasn't done anything to prove that he can beat someone like Gaethje. He's beat people he's meant to beat if he wants to be considered anywhere near this level. So, yeah, it's hard for me to pick Paddy against Gaethje when I've only seen him beat journeyman bums. So, yeah. So like I was saying, if you put Gaethje against Paddy's last 4 opponents, again, already beat Chandler, already beat Ferguson. I mean, he would beat Jared Gordon, he would beat Bobby Green. I don't think anyone would be picking against Gaethje in those fights if they were made today or when Paddy fought them. So he beats all of Paddy's opponents that he's beat. But then you look at it the other way around and you put Paddy against Gaethje's last 4 opponents. How many of those opponents does Paddy beat? So let's go through it. Fazayev, does Paddy beat Fazayev? I don't think so. Or what, he's going to take him down and submit him? Ask my corner how that worked out for him. Poirier? No. I mean, maybe you'd think Paddy could beat Poirier, but would you feel confident putting your money on that? I don't think so. I'd still be backing Poirier. Holloway, not a chance for me. I think Holloway beats Paddy every day of the week. And yeah, when you look at it like that, you find it hard to pick Paddy against any of Gaethje's last 4 fights, last 3 opponents being 4 fights. So yeah, when you look at it like that, it's uncomparable, their resume. And like I said, Gaethje's not just fighting these guys. It's not like he's fighting these guys and losing. He's won 3 out of 4. And again, only lost to Max Holloway, who Paddy would lose to. So yeah, I find it hard to not give Gaethje more credit here. I find it hard to pick against Gaethje here. I think momentum, storyline, and narratives are what making us lean towards Paddy. I think when you look at, you know, for me, more logical breakdown analysis, and when you look at stylistically as well, Gaethje's a striker who's got wrestling capabilities. He should be able to stop the takedowns from Paddy. He's been preparing for wrestlers like Khabib in the past. He would have had whole camps for someone like Khabib. Yeah, it didn't help him against Khabib, but Paddy's not Khabib. So it's not like he has to worry about the same threat coming from Paddy. Remember, Paddy's not a relentless wrestler. He's not some crazy good... Like, yeah, he's got wrestling and he can take you down, etc. But he's not this relentless wrestler that's going to be... that you're going to find it impossible to stop his takedowns. He's a high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner. So when he gets to the ground, it can be a problem for you. And Gaethje, his weakness out of all parts of MMA is probably, is jiu-jitsu. So yeah, of course that's a threat, and of course he could get submitted, but Paddy doesn't submit everyone he fights. Like, look at his record, he doesn't submit everyone he fights. He submits Jordan Levitt, he submits Vargas. You know, he submitted Bobby Green because Bobby Green dove headfirst into his arms. It was the easiest submission of Paddy's career. So those submission wins doesn't mean you're just going to submit everyone. And we know he can't submit anyone and everyone because we've seen him not submit everyone. He didn't submit Jared Gordon. He didn't submit Tony Ferguson. He didn't submit Chandler. Yes, he knocked out Chandler. But if the submission was on earlier, he would have got it. So he's not just going to go in there and submit Justin Gaethje when he feels like it. He's not Charles Oliveira. And and I think the more Paddy forces the wrestling exchanges, the grappling exchanges, the jiu-jitsu ground game and not find the submission, the more he's going to get tired, the more we're going to see the difference in conditioning. We've seen Gaethje go 5 rounds. We haven't seen Paddy go 5 rounds. We've seen Paddy go 3 rounds and get gassed against Tony Ferguson. But we've seen Gaethje go 5 rounds and still fight like he was in the first second, really. Like, even in the Max Holloway fight, Gaethje wasn't looking like so tired and gassed out on his feet and couldn't hold himself together in the 4th, 5th round. He was still going for it. And fighting like he does normally. He's conditioned well. He can go we know he can go 5 rounds. We don't know Paddy can. And that's the thing. It's like with Paddy, it's like he's not just going to get flatline KO by Gaethje because he's tough and he's got heart, and you know, he's got that. Everyone talks about Paddy's chin being up in the air, and part of the reason he's got his chin in the air is because he knows he can take a shot. And when you know you can take a shot, you're more willing to put yourselves in those predicaments in a stance that isn't trainer friendly, if you like, isn't advised. because you know you can take a shot. So that's why when you see Paddy get clipped, like we've seen him, he's hittable. When you see him get hit, it doesn't really wobble him that much. Like it doesn't. He's not out on his feet. He like spurs it on because he knows he can take it. It's like, is that all you got, sort of thing. So he's got a chin. That's the thing about Paddy as well. He's got a chin, and his striking's good as well. Paddy's striking's good. He's dangerous in the way he strikes, his timing. It's not. I don't like to compare it in this way because others might disagree with this, but he's got that McGregorish stance now where he's on the outside and he tries to time his explosions. He tries to load up and time his load up shots, and it works well for him because once he hits you with one of his big shots, he has you backing up, and next you know he's rushing towards you. He's got a flying knee. He looks like he's about to stop you with striking, and then it doesn't happen. But he's got that capability with his striking and his timing, and he's gotten better with his striking, definitely, just by being in the UFC, well, since being in the UFC. And it's effective. So, he could definitely land some of that stuff on Gaethje, but again, conversely, Gaethje can take a shot. This whole narrative that I'm seeing, Gaethje's chin's finished because he got knocked out by Max Holloway in a 10-second decision brawl. He didn't get knocked out by Max Holloway because he's got no chin, and he got knocked out by Max Holloway because they stood in the middle in the last 10 seconds, as we all know, and decided to swing it out for UFC 300, the BMF title, blah 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 blah. If it was down to like skill and didn't get, Holloway would have done it before the last 10 seconds. Every other fight, Holloway doesn't knock out anyone. Who does Holloway knock out? Every fight Holloway has goes to decision. He knocked out Korean Zombie, yeah, because why? Because Korean Zombie steamed forward in his retirement fight when he just went for it because he knew he had to go for it because he was losing the fight. Similarly as well, if you remember the Arnold Allen fight, at the end Arnold Allen was like, let's go, and then ran towards him and then got clipped. If you run towards Max Holloway, you try to fight in the pocket and just swing out, we know that's not going to work well for you and you're going to get clipped. And that's what happened to these guys. They didn't get knocked down like Arnold Allen or knocked out like Korean Zombie or knocked out like Gaethje because Max has got this crazy power and timing and he can find the right shot. It's like, no, he's a volume striker. All his fights go to decision, more or less. And the only reason he ever knocked someone out is because of someone else's decision. Gaethje made the decision to stand in the middle and brawl, got knocked out. Otherwise, that would have gone obviously to decision. Korean Zombie could have made it to decision with Max as well if he didn't decide to just rush forward and go for it, which I respect. But that was a decision that came with a lot of risk and it didn't pay off. So, point being, Gaethje's chin is not finished. His chin's definitely not finished. Yeah, he's been knocked out by Max, and then before that he was submitted by Oliveira. Before that he was submitted by Khabib. Those are his last 3 losses in quite a few years. He's only had 3 losses, and I don't know how many years it's been, but those are his last 3 losses, I think, since going back till Dustin Poirier. I know that's a while ago now. So losing to Khabib by submission, no shame. I think everyone would agree there. Losing to Oliveira by submission, no shame. That doesn't mean you're going to get submitted by anyone that's got good jiu-jitsu. You know, you just got submitted by the best jiu-jitsu submission artist in the whole UFC, in Charles, and the best debatably fighter in the whole UFC ever, in Khabib. That doesn't mean Paddy can submit you. So yeah, in regards to the submission threat, I think Gaethje can survive. In terms of his chin, it will hold up. He's taken big shots against Fiziev. He knocked down Fiziev. He beat Fiziev twice, high-level Muay Thai practitioner. And I'm seeing, and he knocked out Dustin Poirier. I'm seeing all this against strikers that are all better than Paddy. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't he be able to outstrike Paddy? Why wouldn't he be able to knock out Paddy? Why wouldn't he be able to survive on the ground in terms of like grappling, scrambling exchanges to then keep it on the feet to then win the striking exchanges? He should be able to do all of these things. I think logically, stylistically, it makes sense. Will it work out like that? Is obviously a different point, and it doesn't always. MMA doesn't always go as logic should say it should go, as we know. But I think the smart choice is Gaethje. I think it's either going to be KO/TKO or decision. I think a late finish for Gaethje or decision. And I'm actually going to go out there on a limb and say decision for Gaethje. I think Paddy's smart. I think he knows what this means. I think he understands and respects Gaethje on the feet. I think if you look at the Bobby Green fight with Paddy, before he got the submission, he was very respectful of Bobby Green in terms of that first half of the first round. He was he didn't do much. He didn't do anything on the feet, and it was all on the feet, and he didn't do anything. Bobby Green didn't do anything either. But the point is, it's not like you're some wizard on the feet that can like do, you know. He has respect for people that know what they're doing in the feet. And I think he's going to be patient against Gaethje. I think the first 2 rounds might not be as exciting as we think. I think it will get exciting. There'll be moments. I think they'll both survive, and I think Gaethje should win by decision, because I don't think Paddy's sort of like, he can control you on the ground even if he doesn't get a submission with his grappling and his jiu-jitsu, but he can do that against Tony Ferguson. Do you see him holding Justin Gaethje down for 3 rounds and just controlling him for 3-4 rounds? I don't. He's not a wrestler. That's what wrestlers do. Not the jiu-jitsu guys. It's like, they don't do that. Look at Diego Lopez. He doesn't just grab you, hold you down, keep you down. He can if he ends up in that position, like he did against Gene Silva. Diego Lopez, he ended up in the ground with Gene Silva, but he's never going to look to do that. He's never going to, because it's not their game, jiu-jitsu guys. It's not the same as wrestlers where they can just sit on you and control you for 5 rounds, like your Hamzats can do if they decide to, like your Islams can do if they decide to. I feel like jiu-jitsu guys like Paddy are more opportunistic. I think that's right, opportunistic. And I don't think he's going to have the ability to just sit and lie on you for 5 rounds. Who have we seen him do that to either? He controlled a 40-year-old Tony Ferguson on the ground for 2 rounds. Okay, Gaethje's not Ferguson. So yeah, I think I'm going to go Gaethje by decision. I think it's going to be a fight of moments. I think Gaethje could finish Paddy late, so that's not by KO/TKO. And I will say, I do think Paddy can win as well. Of course, he could finish Gaethje. I don't see a knockout. Crazy things have happened, but I don't see a knockout. It would be by submission, because he does have the advantage there. But I think Gaethje has more advantages in this fight. I think stylistically it works for Gaethje. I think the experience is going to pay off, and I think the one thing to take away from this is the comparison between Paddy's last 4 fights and Gaethje's last 4 fights. Yes, Paddy hasn't had the opportunity to fight the high-level guys, but that's now an advantage in Gaethje's favour, because he has been fighting high-level guys. And I'm just talking recently, I'm not talking about his whole career. I know Gaethje's been in the UFC way longer, but just recently he has been fighting these high-level guys and beating them. So you've proved you can beat way high-level strikers than Paddy. So that, whether it's fair or not a fair comparison, that's the truth, and that's an advantage for Gaethje. It's not about whether it's fair, it's about what can we compare and who's got the advantage where, and Gaethje's got that experience advantage against high-level strikers and beating them. So again, longer it stays on the feet, which I think it will, Gaethje's experience and his striking advantage and ability will pay off and win by decision. And sadly, he'll be the interim title. He'll be the champion of the interim title in a title shot he didn't deserve, and cried his way to a title shot, which is insane, because Dana even said in a post-fight press conference that if he's going to give me an ultimatum of title or retire, then retire, then you give him a title shot. So yeah, say one thing in a press conference and then just give it to him anyway. It's just, he doesn't deserve a title shot. Paddy doesn't deserve a title shot either. Neither of them do. I mean, Paddy deserves it more than Gaethje, in the sense that he should be fighting Arman for this interim title, but both of them needed one more fight. In an ideal world, if Topuria was still available, like I said, it would be Topuria versus Arman for the next title shot at lightweight, and it would be Gaethje, Paddy, #1 contender after Arman gets his shot. So yeah, but hopefully after this, we'll see either Paddy or Gaethje fight Topuria, and then Arman will get his shot after that, because he deserves it before either of them. But yeah.